Hello! Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria. And welcome to our October reading wrap-up video. So, let's talk about what we read in our spookiest month of the year. Before we jump right into the books that we read in the month of October, I did want to announce to all of the world that in the month of October, I met my reading goal of reading 75 books this year. Now this is crazy because before last year, I had not been reading a lot. I used to be a really big reader, and I think after going to college and just like working and everything like that, I really like fell out of reading consistently. And one of the best things that's happened to me since joining YouTube and deciding to do a channel was discovering BookTube and really rekindling my desire to read and my love to read. So I am so excited that I met and I'm going to exceed my goal of reading 75 books this year. And I just want to say to anybody who feels like these numbers seem crazy, because that's what I think sometimes, especially when I first was on BookTube and was like, how are people reading this many books? And I think it has a lot to do with mixed media. Also, please remember that people who are making content about books are spending a lot of time focusing on making that content and therefore need to read the books to make the content. So there is like that extra external motivation to read, but I also really have cut down on watching TV. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. It's not what I spend a lot of my time doing. And then of course I did get laid off in January and have found reading to be an excellent way to help me stay in the moment, and a great way to put me to sleep instead of being on my phone, which was originally why I decided to really start getting back into reading after watching BookTube. Was like, I need to get off my phone before I go to bed. And so choosing to spend an hour before bed reading has also really helped me achieve this goal. I actually think I rounded out the month of October hitting 76. But I wanted to acknowledge that before we dived in to any of our reads for the month of October. Now, I did have a TBR for the month of October. Did I stick to it? Kind of. I don't know if I've stuck to a TBR ever since I started this channel, but that is a-okay. So let's go ahead and just go through the books that we read. If you've watched some of my other videos, these are all going to sound like a repeat. Nothing too special going on here. But the first book that we read, it was actually an audiobook that I listened to. It was super, super short, very interesting read. It's only like 176 pages, and that is A History of Present Illness by Anna DeForest. I didn't rate this one because it was so interesting. It was like a bit of fiction along with a memoir. Anna Forrest is a clinician. She focuses on palliative care, so helping people who are through chronic illnesses or terminal illnesses and helping them be more comfortable as they pass and things like that. So it was a lot about her med school experience with fiction. So it was a very interesting read, very short read. I enjoyed the audiobook. It made me think, as somebody who's worked in senior living and also had a recent passing of somebody, it was interesting to connect with this book and some of the different feelings that the patients that the fictional doctor was working with, and just the experience and how it all blended into how this person perceives their time in medical school was very interesting. Next book on this list was a book that I got from NetGalley and had been anticipating. This was actually Bindery Publishing, and that was House of Frank by Kay Sinclair. I gave this one 4.75 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will give a caveat that I do think the narrative style, especially in the beginning of this story, is a little hard to get into, which is why I didn't give it 5 stars. But I really love the conversation that we had about grief here and how you move on from grief and how you not move on from losing the person, but learn how to live your life after someone who's so pivotal in it passes away. And again, as somebody who recently had someone pass away, it was interesting to be reading so much about grief, but I definitely think it is something that we often talk about in books because it's something that everyone is going to experience, most likely. And it's sometimes something you have to work through. And I do think this author in their notes put that this book was a way to like work through passing of someone very important to them. And I could really feel that in the novel. Do this with a magical arboretum and some really fun magical characters and like found family. So I recommend it. I recommend, you know, taking the narrative as it is. I do think it was intentional, as I think I've mentioned multiple times talking about this book. So I'd say give it a chance. I really enjoyed it. And I think you might too. The next book was a 5-star that I was not expecting to be a 5-star. Oh, where is she? She is somewhere. Oh, she's up there. I'm not gonna grab her. I'm feeling lazy. And I talked about it ad nauseum, but I had so much fun with this book. And that is Long Live Evil by Sarah Race Brennan. And this really is like a love story to people who are obsessed with the villains in stories. And it's one of my favorite structures of books of where a character gets thrown into a series. Oh, I know. Okay, and what I really liked about this particular one is the idea wasn't just the character trying to get out of the story. They had an actual objective for being in that book and for what they were trying to do and what changes they were trying to make in the story. And I felt like that was an element that was really needed in this type of story because it gives our character a sincere purpose of why they're trying to get out of this story and what they're trying to do. So I really liked that. It was a lot of fun. The next book that we finished was the 6th book in the Bridgerton series, kind of going a little off base on our kind of spooky vibes, but this was When He Was Wicked, which is Francesca's book. And I had a lot of fun with this. I gave this one 4 stars. I was quite surprised with the overall romance of this book. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at my story graph on here if you see my phone. That's what I'm looking at. But it was pretty saucy. I thought more saucy than Colin and Penelope's story. And I'm interested to see how they're going to do this one. Because I do really like Michael, the love interest in the story. The next book that we read was Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison, which is the first book in the Hollow series. I've talked about this a little bit, but I got some free books from DragonCon that are later on in the series. So since I have finished the Dresden File up until we are waiting on the next book to come out in the series, I thought I would pick up another urban fantasy. And since Kim Harrison often comes to DragonCon, I thought I would give this series a shot since I've seen it for so long because it came out around the same time as the Dresden Files series. I had a good time with this one. I gave it 3 stars. It was fun. It very much like fell into that urban fantasy kind of style. I will say I like the second half better than I like the first, so I'm hoping that trend continues and I like the second even more than I like the first. The book that we read was one that I really thought I wasn't gonna like when I started it, but thoroughly enjoyed by the end. I'm very curious to see how this series will continue on. I actually discovered this book because I'm signed up to Penguin Random House's like newsletters, and this one came out as a book that was coming out in the month of October, and that is A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer. As I mentioned, this is actually going to be a series. It's by Maxi Dara, and it's called the Scythe Mystery Series. So yeah, I'm super curious how this is going to work. I thought the entire system that she set up for this like corporate death company that helps souls pass was super interesting. I really think what sold this book for me was the relationship between our main character and the ghosts who she's trying to help solve their murder. So cute. Love this. I'm definitely going to pick it up again. I think if you enjoy murder mysteries with a little bit something different, I suggest picking this book up. I give it 4 stars. I'm really looking forward to picking up the next one. The next book was kind of a disappointment. So this was Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood. I gave this 2 stars. And I really, really wanted to like this book, but honestly, I just felt like we spent so much time in the beginning talking about nonsense and didn't really get to the plot or like connecting the characters until way later, and then everything in the end felt rushed. And I think it's unfortunate because I liked the magic system and I liked the backstory we had. I would have liked for us to spend more time. But speaking of books that did do it for me, A Dark and Secret Magic by Wallace Kinney. I gave this book 5 stars. It was everything I wanted. I'm actually planning on making some of the recipes that were in the back of the book. So if you like Halloween, if you like a little bit of coziness, if you like a Hades and Persephone's vibe, I recommend picking up this book. I will also mention again that Wallace Kinney is a fellow booktuber. Or YouTuber in general. She's written about her writing journey, and so I think that's super interesting, and I really love this book and love this cover and want to hear about other people's thoughts on it. The last book that we finished like just before, it says I finished it November 1st, but I technically finished it October 31st, so I finished it like before midnight, but I think I didn't log it till November 1st, but trust, I read it in October, trust me. And that is The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holton. I gave this book 4 stars. I liked it. It reminded me a little bit of Veronica Speedwell, but if Veronica was a lady through and through and didn't have a proclivity for finding men when she was out on her expeditions, and if Stoker was more affable in public. That's kind of the vibes it's giving though, and they're birds instead of butterflies. But it really, like, that same vibe was what I got from this story. Like, it's in like that Victorian era. We have like this world with different scientists. Now these are magical birds, which is kind of fun, but I thought their romance was cute. I thought the whole journey from trying to catch this bird and like figuring things out was a good time. It was fun. I had fun. It was what I thought it was going to be. I would say I think I like Veronica Speedwell better, but I did really enjoy this book, and I would recommend checking it out if you were interested. Quickly to go over our stats, we won't go too deep, but checking out our monthly stats here. Okay, so for the month of October we read 8 books and 3,189 pages. Our average time to finish was 3 days, and somewhere between 300 and 500 pages, and we were at 100% fiction. Per usual, fantasy and romance were our top 2 categories, and then we had a pretty good balance between the rest. I read 2 audiobooks, and the rest were print, either the physical books from the library, books that I had purchased, and books on my Kindle from NetGalley. My average was a 3.96. I feel like we had a pretty good month here. I had some pretty good reads. It probably would have been 4 if it wasn't for Rewitched and Dead Witch Walking. Overall, it was a great reading month. I thought I would get more read because I thought during the Jane Austen experience I would have some more time to read, but I didn't. Had a lot of fun though, so that's what matters. So I am looking forward to closing out this year. I am not quite sure what all of my reading plans are going to be. I have some books lined up that I'm going to be reading in the month of November and going into December to stay in themed. I really like celebrating the seasons. I think that it helps us really stay present when we make an effort to celebrate the seasons in whatever way makes the most sense to you. All that is to say, I am looking for some theme books to pick up for the holiday months. Also looking for some audiobooks and shorter books, because as we get closer and closer to the holidays, I am quite sure that my time for reading will be limited. I guess I'm talking about November plans here, but I am looking for some things to do to stay in theme for the holidays. If you checked out my Vlogmas last year, I had a advent calendar of tights that I got from Snag Tights, and I picked up an advent calendar from Caffeine and Legends, which I am so excited to get. It's gonna take everything in my power not to open anything before we reach December, but I thought it would be fun to do that again in my vlogs because I had so much fun doing it. I don't know if I will do Vlogmas this year. I'm gonna continue with the reading vlogs. I will probably start one today, which will be a little bit behind, but we have a lot of content to get out in the next couple of uploads, because I have this video that's going to go up on Wednesday. I just filmed a video recommending a bunch of different types of books revolving around witches that I'm going to be editing and putting up, and then I still have to go through all of the content from my Jane Austen weekend, which I'm super excited to share. I think it'll be a great autumnal video to share with all of you as we get to the season. So those are 3 videos that will be coming out along with reading vlogs, and I am probably going to read another Kim Harrison book this month and in December as well. So I do have a spoiler-filled vlog for Dead Witch Walking that I still need to edit, I believe. I did my end of the year tag, which I'll put down below, but I am going to try to get some of those books in here. I've got a couple here that I bought. Just trying to whittle down some of my TBR a little bit as we're closing out. Oh, also, I wanted to show you guys this. Okay, I've been waiting to show you all this, but one of the things I picked up when I was in Vermont for the Jane Austen experience, we went to a lovely little bookstore there, and they had a Vermont theme, Vermont author section, and I found this book and I could not help myself. I had to buy it. It is literally a Bernie Sanders mystery. Look at the autumn vibes. Called Feel the Burn by Andrew Schaefer, and apparently he was the author of the Obama-Biden mysteries. Oh, yes, the Obama-Biden mysteries. But yeah, it is what it sounds like, so I am interested to read this. I definitely want to read this before we head into winter, because it does have all of the Vermont vibes. It takes place in fall. I could not help myself, and on top of that, it has recipes, which I also have from a Dark and Secret Magic. I have recipes back there too, so I definitely want to do recipes from both of these books, and they're both like autumnal recipes, so I feel like trying to do some soon will be fun. Other November news. I also mentioned this will be, I'll talk about this as well in my witch vlog, or my witch list video, but I do want to read a book that's coming out, come out by Erin Sterling called The Wedding Witch, and it takes place during the Yuletide solstice, so I want to read that in December, and I thought that could be a really fun first book club for the channel, possibly. Curious if anybody is interested in doing like a book club buddy read of The Wedding Witch. No, let me make sure. Of The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. If you are, please put a witch with a Christmas tree an evergreen tree at the bottom, or just let me know. I'm thinking of creating a little Discord channel where we can connect for the book club and chat about it. I might do a live stream for it in December to talk about it. So any of my booktube friends who are interested in doing that, I'd love to do it with you. I think that could be a lot of fun. I've never done one before, and I just think it's so fun to do a little bit of a cute romance, witch, Christmas, Yuletide, winter solstice. I'm rambling. I'd like to do it. So if you're interested, feel free to comment down below. I would absolutely love to do it so much. But I think that's it. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more Bookish and Nerds content. I upload every Wednesday and on most Sundays. And until the next one, I hope you find some joy. I hope you read a good book. And most importantly, I hope you do something to make the world a better place. And I will see you in my next one. Bye!